This week on Seeds of Gold.
As long as the variety is providing a very good niche in terms of importance, farmers will always have that advantage to take it up.
We focus on potato.
These varieties proved to yield well. At least now they are yielding over 10 metric tons per acre.
Fried, mashed, roasted, baked or boiled, potatoes are a home staple and the ultimate comfort food.
In 2012, we were developing what we call a food security program as an embassy, as a thematic area that the embassy is going to focus on, in addition to other thematic areas that were being run or supported by the embassy. So the food security program started in 2012, specifically on two subsectors, on two enterprises. And this enterprise at that time was the potato and the rice.
This episode of Seeds of Gold is made possible by IFDC Uganda.
We are mainly focusing at developing a sustainable potato sector. And in that aspect, we are looking at how do we increase potato production and productivity in these areas. We also look at how do we link the producers with the market.
IFDC strives to develop better fertilizer and production technologies, transfer these improved technologies to smaller holder farmers, and connect these farmers to efficient and profitable markets. Some farmers might question whether growing potatoes is worth the hassle, space, time, and energy.
From 2012, we started working with International Fertilizer Development Center, which is called IFDC, with a first project which we called Catalyst. And that one was really focusing on 2 or 3 key areas or key crops, and that is potato and the rice and some oil crops and cassava at that time. The reason why we went into those specific crops and maybe not coffee, not beans, not tea, not whatever, the potato crop was also seen as an important crop for this country, but which was not really getting a lot of support. And the productivity of this crop was always declining. It was going down because the quality of the seed is really poor, is very low. The second thing is that the soil fertility where these potatoes are grown, also the soil fertility is declining. The application of the fertilizers to improve the productivity was really low. You know, when you look at the knowledge, the gap, the knowledge of production, what we call good agronomical practices for raising the potato, it was, you know, more of the traditional way. So the potato, in terms of productivity, was not giving us what you get from research and what other good varieties have given us. When you compare the volumes, the productivity at that level, and what is produced by the farmers, the gap was too big.
We have been growing potatoes, but of recent it was realized that with the emerging demands by the niche markets, especially for processed potato products, it was realized that most of the varieties we have here in Uganda, they lacked processing qualities, especially in terms of the potato shape, the depths of eyes. So those processors were not comfortable with such attributes because some of these processors, they use machines, and most of our potato varieties, they have round shape, so which would not, if a processor is dealing in a production of French fries or chips, he's comfortable with a variety that will give him long finger-like chips. But those which are round, you find they give short short less than 2 centimeters, so those are not good for people who are consuming the chips. Then another attribute, when you look at the nature of the depths of the eyes, most of our varieties have deep sunken eyes. So that means a processor, after peeling, if he's using machines, then it means the machines will leave out those sunken eyes, and normally they are colored, so they don't appeal to the consumer. So eventually we established that the Dutch potato sector had varieties with those required attributes or qualities. So that prompted the IFDC REACH project to partner with Dutch seed companies in the Netherlands who would provide such a variety, seed of those varieties. So after that, that's when the IFDC, in partnership with the National Agricultural Research Organization and the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, they ventured into that process, and they engaged the Dutch seed companies to supply some varieties to test here in Uganda. So the 21 varieties that were supplied were evaluated between 2015 to 2016. Out of the 21 varieties, 6 varieties were released for commercialization by the Ministry of Agriculture. So the varieties that were released are some of these which some of these farmers are doing. One is Marquise, and another one is Arizona. There is also Sagita, Voyager, and Sapomira. There were 6 of them.
Potato farming can be a good source of income if done on a scalable basis.
We are talking about materials or varieties that can yield over 40 tons per hectare. Most of the farmers here, they obtain low yields, around 7 tons per hectare. This is going to be like sort of a very big boost to their production and to their income. We have been able to provide solutions to the investors and to the industrialists and to the farmers that are willing to boost their production. So work has been going on on the research component, and we have been able to test these materials both in terms of quality, both in terms of yield, adaptability for the whole country, in terms of performance across the zone. And we feel and think that these materials can actually grow very well here.
There are more than 200 varieties of potatoes, and farmers are always looking for better varieties than the traditional ones to better their livelihoods.
Twasooka ne tugezesa ku bika bino ebyaffe ebya bulijjo bye tulina wano mu Uganda. Ebika ebyo nga tebyagala nnyo ttaka lino. Ne tufuna ebika ebyava Dutch. Ne twafunayo nga Sagita, ne tufuna Panamera, ne tufuna ne Taurus mu kusooka. Ne tusinziira katale ke tulina, ne tusalawo ebika ki bye tusobola okulima. Kati mu bika ebyo ne tulondamu Taurus. Kuba Taurus olwedda akatale kaaliwo, ng'aliwo abamwagala. Ate ne tujja ne tufuna n'aba IFDC. Ne bakkiriza okutuyambako okutufunira ensigo mu bungi. Ne batuleetera Taurus, ne batuleeterayo n'ekika ekirala kino ekyamalukiizi. Ne tukigezesa omulundi ogusooka nga kikola bulungi ku ttaka lino. Ffe kubitandika okubirima. Taurus alinamu enjawulo mu kusimba. N'ebika bino ebyaffe ebya bulijjo binnansangwa ebyasangibwa wano mu Uganda. Kubanga biri ebika ebyaffe bw'obiwa ebigimusa bijinjimuka bujinjimusi tebibala. Bikuza amakoola gabanga mayitirivu era n'olowooza nti emmere ejja kubeerako. Naye ate ogenda okusima tosangako mmere. Naye ye Taurus bw'omusimba abala agimuka ebikoola naye ate n'okubala ye abala. Kyalina enjawulo ku bunnansangwa.
So farmers started to search for alternatives. National Agricultural Research Organization (NARO) has the mandate to provide farmers with potato varieties that can produce plenty and spit out profits.
Most of our varieties are these table varieties that we cook and eat. So as being an institute with a national mandate, we had to seek the source of these materials. So through the collaborative arrangement between NARO and IFDC, we are able to source a number of them. The first batch were 21 varieties that came all the way from Netherlands through a collaboration between IFDC and NARO with a Dutch company called Nevap, and we were able to access these materials. Through that kind of evaluation, we evaluated them for 3 years, and we were able to release 7 varieties. If we may give an example like Victoria, Chiniji, and Rwangome, these are varieties that are very susceptible to viruses. So any new material that comes on board, as long as it provides an advantage over the previous one, farmers will take it up, because they are always looking for those better materials which can actually make them better in terms of livelihood, in terms of food security and income.
After securing good potato seeds, seed potatoes can be whole potatoes or pieces of whole potatoes. A seed potato must have at least one eye to sprout. An eye is a bud, a packet spot where sprouts develop stems and leaves. This is how the seed is prepared for planting. Store seed potatoes for up to 1 month before planting. 2 or 3 weeks before planting, set seed potatoes in a bright sunlight to encourage sprouting. Cut whole seed potatoes into pieces with a sharp knife 2 days before planting. Each piece should have at least 2 eyes. After cutting, you should let the pieces cure for 1 to 2 days.
Byenkolanga ngenda okusimba obummonde buno Taurus ne Malukizi. Nsooka ne mmanya nti nina okusimba ku lunaku bwe luti nja kusimba obummonde. Ne nkwata tulakita mu bbanga ng'ebulanga wiiki 3 ne ntegeka ennimiro. Ne oba yakulima mulundi gumu oba 2 oba 3 n'ebeerawo nga erilwedde. Ne nfuna ensigo bwejja nga maze okugifuna ng'eraze nti etuuse enteeketeeke, etuuse okusigibwa, nga nkwata ebigimusa byensooka okuteekamu mu nnimiro nga mbitwalamu mu nnimiro. Waliwo kyenkola okugonzaamu ku ttaka, nziramu ne mpitamuko ne ku tulakita ne ngonza ettaka. Awo ne nfukirira ettaka eryo ne libeera bbisi bulungi. Bwe limala okubeera nga bbisi ne nsimba obummonde obwo, ojjukira bubeera bwamezeeko dda nga bulina emitunsi nga kwegiri, ne mbusimba.
Even if you are planting whole seed potatoes, it's best to cure them in a warm place for 2 days before planting. This will encourage the best growth. A farmer must have the following: well-drained, fertile soil with enough composite manure. Dig straight, shallow trenches 2 to 3 feet apart. Plant seed potatoes 12 inches apart and cover with about 3 inches. Plant seed potatoes in a hole or trench 3 to 4 inches deep and cover with 2 inches of soil. Plant cut pieces with the cut side down.
Nkola sentimita 25. Sentimita eza 25 nsooka ne mmanya nti mu hectare nsimbamu ensigo mmeka. Kati hectare egendamu ensigo 5,000 mu 7 mu 140 nga nsimbye ku sentimita 25. n'omanya nti eddagala kiri ngenda okukozesa okulabirira ebika bino n'olimanya n'otegekawo n'akasente akanaagula ebigimusa. Singa obeera nga onaabisimba ku mulimi waffe nga owa bulijjo, oba olina okuba ng'omanyi nti osobola okufuna ne ku mazzi ng'osobola okubifukirirako kuba byagala nnyo amazzi. Mu wiiki ng'emu buba bumaze okumera ebitundu 10. Kati awo neŋŋema omuddo nga bumeze ebitundu 10 neŋŋema omuddo. Bwe mmala okugema omuddo, wiiki ey'okubiri bubeera bumeze ebitundu nga 10 ku 10 mpaka we bubala okutuuka mu wiiki ng'eyokuna bubeera butandise okubala bulungi nnyo. Neŋŋema endwadde nga blight, botrytis, anthracnoses, potato blight, ezo zonna. Wiiki 12 bubeera bukuze, naye ku wiiki ey'e14 awo tumanyira nti ddala butuuse okukungula obulungi.
And these varieties proved to yield well. At least now they are yielding over 10 metric tons per acre. And actually under intensive management they can even go up to 16 metric tons, which is about 40 metric tons per hectare. And initially some of the varieties here, they were giving us less than 10, 4 metric tons per acre. So now these ones, they are high yielding. They can tolerate environmental stress, especially like drought, because they are early maturing. Most of those varieties that we are releasing, they are early maturing. So a farmer, if is confronted with the weather, at least he can harvest something because they can tolerate the drought. Like Maquis, Taurus, they have high dry matter content. The dry matter content refers to the amount contained within the tuber. So the amount of water is less. So that is why they give better products compared with those which are a bit watery. So like Maquis, it has a dry matter content of about 23.8%, and the Taurus is around 22%. So those are, whereas the rest are below 20, below 20, and those don't give good processed products.
This is a caution. Do not grow potatoes where the soil is compacted, heavy with clay, or constantly wet.
What makes it, it is the best Irish that we have seen, and regarding to the land that we have, the type of the soil that we have, and also the environment. And this seed or these Irish potatoes, it comes out perfect when it comes to this type of soil. It is sandy soil mainly.
Ugandans are eating more chips and other potato products than ever before, from your favorite roadside chips lady to the supermarket.
Okay, normally before we plant the seed, we first work out on how much do we need to sell and the companies that we have to sell this Irish. Because if you depend on what you call local people, eventually it may not go as you want. But then as we engaged with IFDC, they connected us to some of the producers of crisps, that is SAMs. And then we have Chicken Express as well as ShopRite.
So, how do farmers keep up with the demand?
The moment we plant the Irish like this, then we have to reach them, not by calling. We reach them and then we sit on the table, agree on the price that we will have to supply them. And then not only that, we sign what we call a contract, so that there is no, it comes to harvesting, there is no changing, there is no diverting. It has to be straight, so that we know that we are doing a smart thing.
We hope you now know the best potato variety to choose from. where to access good seed, how to maintain a good potato garden, and how to make this humble crop a seed of gold. Special thanks to IFDC Uganda for making this episode possible. See you next week.